Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. So I hear this come up often when describing an individual's build as being catalog spec or to the catalog. Well, what if I told you that the GT catalogs were sometimes wrong? Yeah, I know. Therefore, today's video, we're going to go over the 80s and early 90s GT product catalogs and look at the differences of what some of those might be and kind of take them as mistakes. So before we dig in, we got to kind of break down the process of creating the catalog and give you a time frame to help you understand why there might be discrepancies. Understand that bike manufacturers like GT and Harrow worked very much like automotive manufacturers do today, meaning they produce upcoming models in the current year ahead of the actual calendar year change. You could certainly purchase, say, a 2024 Mustang in 2023. Physically, they're made in 2023, but the model year and the design is 2024. So the same process could be expected of the GT bikes, meaning they're hard at work producing the next year's bike in the current year that they're in. The process of making the catalogs was very drawn out and long, especially since it was not done in a digital age. It took some time to schedule the photo shoot, arrange all the products consisting of freestyle, BMX, frame sets, scooters, mountain bikes, clothing, and even parts. Then develop those taken photos. That could take up to a few days. And any of you younger people that are watching this, you don't know the struggles. We had to develop the film and hope it was usable. After the photos are developed and selected, they need to be approved by the GT marketing team. Then a catalog proof is made and submitted for approval. Finally, the catalogs are sent to the printing press to be distributed worldwide. From start to finish, that whole journey could take months. So let's get into the 1986 catalog to start. 1986 was a very interesting year for GT. Besides the fact that there are two different geometry performer frames in the same year, about halfway through the year, GT made a decision to change the flagship freestyle bike, the Pro World Tour, to the famous Pro Freestyle Tour. Now, the reasons for this are very well documented, but it involves an infringement on a similar name already being used by Schwinn. A cease and desist was presented to GT, and a name change occurred shortly after to avoid any litigation. However, the joke is on Schwinn and GT. You see, Pon Holdings is the parent company of both GT and Schwinn, and it's why you see the Pro World Tour name being used again on the new GT Heritage bikes. But I digress. The catalog only shows the name Pro World Tour, so it's understandable when you see Pro Freestyle Tour in 1986, it can be very confusing. In 1987, GT introduced the double bend or S-bend iconic frame for the Pro Performer, the Pro Freestyle Tour, and of course the team model. Now this frame set is iconic and popular, probably the most popular in GT's lineup. So, looking in the catalog, we see the Pro Freestyle Tour is photographed and equipped with the Viscount 2169 seat, which is left over from the previous years. Used primarily in 1985 to 1986, GT only used the Viscount 2123 seat in 1987. That's the seat that should be on the bike. Taking a peek at the frame, some of you eagle eye will notice that there's a small tab welded onto the upper side of the down tube to anchor the barrel adjuster for the lower gyro cable. This was a prototype design and never made it into production. I'll leave a link to the video that I made about the gyro cables that goes over this entire subject. We can also see an older seat clamp carried over from 1986 as well. And it might be hard to see, but the fork standers are first generation without the logo cutouts on the side. Notice the Izumi slotted chain, which is not equipped on many of the 1987 Pro Freestyle Tours or the team models. Instead, GT used a 3/32 bubble font logo chain that we've all come to know. These are just a few of the differences from the parts used on the production bikes. I won't even go into the racing bikes. GT does mention the colors available for the Pro Freestyle Tour frame sets to be chrome, white, GT blue, aka Maui blue, lavender, and Dayglow pink. They completely forget to list black and bubblegum pink, which were available as well. Let's move into 1988. In this case, right off the bat, we have 5 mistakes just at first glance. So let's take a look at the catalog bike and an actual Survivor production bike side by side. Now, item number 1 in this photo, GT still using the original grips from 1987. These are flanged grips and clearly do not belong on this bike. In 1988, GT introduced their brand new Amy GT grips that you see in the photos here. Item number 2, you should all recognize this. This is a mallet stem, which was no longer being used in 1988. GT introduced their brand new bottom load gooseneck stem, and that was pretty much on all of the bikes, including the racing bikes. Item number 3, the Izumi chain once again shows up instead of the 3/32 bubble font logo chain. Item number 4, the sprocket. Here, GT discontinued the chainring and power disc combo like you see in 1987 and switched to a one-piece compact disc design. However, you all know what's missing here, the GT wing logo. Interestingly enough, GT took quite a few photos of these bikes this way for magazine ads, using the same blank face sprocket as well. Item number 5, the seat, which is now the 2123 Viscount, but it's wrong for 1988. You see, GT switched to the Viscount 2188 starting in 1988 and throughout the 90s. In fact, GT only used the 2123 in 1987. So to make it easy, remember 2188 in 1988. That is just on the Pro Freestyle Tour. There are other mistakes as well. The catalog shows color availability listing. It's missing white as an available color for the Pro Freestyle Tour team model, yet shows the white complete bike being ridden by Martin Aparijo. In fact, that same bike is on the cover of the catalog. Jumping into 1989, the Pro Freestyle Tour team model has been modified by removing the 990 U-brake mounts under the chainstays. You clearly see the remnants of the weld in the photo, and GT moved the brake to the top of the seat stay area. Now, I've heard some people say the early 1989 Pro Freestyle Tours came this way and the catalog shows it correctly, and GT switched it back to the 990 mounts, but personally, I have not seen evidence to prove this. So if you had a 1989 Performer or the Pro Freestyle Tour team model that had the 990 mounts or didn't have the 990 mounts, let me know in the comment section because I'm kind of interested. So 1989 Pro Freestyle Tours are very, very rare, mainly because sales plummeted when compared to the 1987 year. Also, there are no Pro Performers in 1989. I just wanted to make that clear and get that out of the way. Now, the Aggressor was available in 1989, but it didn't make it into the catalog. So I'll leave a link in the video to a video I made, which basically shows the history of the Aggressor. If you're interested, check that out. Now, the 1990 catalog, things get better as GT has refined the production versus the prototyping, and I believe the time frame to get the catalogs to print has shortened up. So all of this is adding to the ability for GT to make these more accurate. So about the only thing I could say for 1990 is one of the photos of the Performer shows it to look like it's lavender. A lot of people confuse this and they want to build a lavender Performer in 1990. It's just not true. That's electric blue. It's just bad lighting, and lavender was not available. Now, there is an argument that there are two different decal styles for 1990. We had the first half of the year, which were hazard decals, and then the second half of the year was a little bit more traditional. So there's a little bit of confusion there, but I don't necessarily blame that on the catalog. I'm not sure why GT changed the decals. There might have been some conflict with the crash test dummy looking decals, and maybe they just wanted to kind of get away from that. But if you have any idea as to why that happened, let me know in the comment section, but it's still a little bit of a mystery. So that about wraps it up, because I can keep on going. There are a lot more catalogs, a lot more problems that we're going to find, but you get an idea. And that's what the main purpose of this video is to show you that there are differences between what you see in a catalog and what was on the physical production bikes. So when you're building to the catalog spec, just be careful. You might be building it to something that wasn't necessarily coming out of the box or the local bike shop. So that's it. Please check out my other videos that I have. Hey, if you're new here, please subscribe. It helps me tremendously so I can keep making more of these videos. It only takes a few seconds. You won't miss any of the upcoming content. So that's it. Get back to your builds. Stay safe, stay healthy, and remember, tomorrow's not guaranteed.